Is this thing on?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to ComicCon.com. It is your daily comic convention every day online, right? So you don't have to deal with crowds or masks or any of the stuff that you would normally have to deal with. I am stoked because I am here today with some creators from what I think is going to be yet another smash hit from Mad Cave. I am super stoked to have Emanuele I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to get it wrong. He's going to say it for us because I just said it and do not have it correct. And Luke Piotrowski, right? Piotrowski, am I got it
Yeah, no,
right?
you did mine, but you can't do his. I'm
Yeah, I
impressed.
know it's crazy. It's that Germanic mouth of mine. It just doesn't. Trying to form around those beautiful Italian uh, syllables. They sound so clumsy coming out of me.
The Polish you can tackle, the Italian a little.
Right. It's just the Polish. I feel like it's a little more rigid, right? I can do rigid with that.
Yeah, but don't worry about that. I'm not gonna have you killed by the mob. It's okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much because I was really worried. Hi guys, thank you. I appreciate you being here with me today. Ferocious is what we're talking about. This book is fantastic. I've recently had a chance to read it, and it's coming out very soon. Can you guys kind of give me a little bit about yourselves before we kind of dive into my questions about the book?
Sure thing. So let's start with the star of the book, Luke. Please.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I have a screenwriter background, so I'm, coming from the world of movies but have always loved the world of comics, and I'm super excited to be able to tell stories in this medium, which is in a lot of ways less restrictive than telling stories on screen. So it's been a real thrill ride and a real pleasure and honestly a dream come true to be able to bring this story into comics.
Can I go now? I mean,
Yeah, by all means,
yeah.
please
Take
go.
it away.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Emanuele Ercolani. This is how you get it right. Sorry about that. Just
You
joking.
got it right on the first try.
I mean, yeah, but I'm really trained to do that. Anyway, I'm the artist who tried to give life to Luke's story. My background is in comic books. I'm doing this job since 10 years. Before I was in the advertising industry, and I used to do a little stunts in movies. So yeah, this is why probably the action in the comic book may feel a little bit real. We work a lot of that, and I bring all the things I learn on set. I try to do that in in the action sequence of Ferocious. That's pretty much all.
That's a whole lot right there, man. I love Ferocious. I really mean it. I don't read books that I don't like. Like if I get started and I'm like, oh, it's not gripping me, then I typically pass it off. I'm really lucky to have a cool editorial team that lets me kind of cherry pick the books I want to read. And what caught me immediately was actually something Emanuele did with the gutters in the first page of the book, where uh, I've always been really fascinated. I've read comics since I was teeny tiny, and like there's this grass that sort of makes up the framing of these first two hard panels with this landscape at the beginning of the book.
Yes.
And it like seared itself into my mind, and I was like, "Wow, we're dealing with like something super cinematic here." And then the dialogue kicks in, and I was locked in. I mean, this book from cover to cover could have been twice as long, and I would have still been just as excited to kind of get there. I mean, you guys really have like a hit here, I think, as far as visual goes and storytelling goes. Kind of what was the seed to this whole story? How did you guys come together? Like, what was the origins here?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say all that. I'm super proud of our first issue. I am happy to tell you. I think it just gets better and better from there. I think we really
Yes, he gets
leveled up.
better. He gets better.
And we, when we were put on the book, I didn't know who the artist was going to be writing the first few issues. Once we get to the end, I knew who I was writing for, and so like the collaboration kind of really gels, in a lot of ways. So if you like the opening, I think you're really going to love the ending. But in terms of the origin of the whole idea, again, just coming from the world of Hollywood, this was something that I initially conceived of and wrote out as a movie script, and it's the type of thing when you're dealing with high fantasy, when you're dealing with, a giant woman with horns on her head. That's something that it's like, I don't know how easy a sell this is going to be for studios who kind of want something that is, so much more familiar, especially from, a visual aesthetic standpoint. So it was something that I showed to my reps, and God bless them. I love my reps, but they were like, we don't know what to do with this. This is going in a drawer for a while until, the world of comics came knocking, and it just seemed like, okay, well, this is a perfect fit. And wound up at Mad Cave, and they, were gave me a list of different artists that they work with, and I got to look at stuff, and I saw a lot of Emanuele's like stuff, and I was like, okay, this is the vibe. Like, seems to understand a lot of again, just from the action standpoint,
Oh
and
yeah, that, I think you
really
said
cool.
you saw Kitsune, right?
Yeah.
The one with
Mhm.
the yeah, with the samurai fox. Yeah, I mean when James, the editor, mailed me, said we have this project wrote by Luke Piotrowski, and he's doing that and this, and the vibe is True Grit meeting Lone Wolf and Cub meeting probably something around Berserk, and I was like, yeah, I mean, do I have to sign? I mean, it's like he quoted three of my favorite comic books of all time, so and movie of all time, so it's like. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Just send me the stuff. Let me draw because I was already picturing stuff in my head. And the first moment I read, this is a fun one. the, the first draft of the Horned Women was like breast free. Let's say. Do you remember that?
I remember
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, because I drew this giant women with those giant breasts, of course, because she's giant. She was armored all over her arms, but was completely free on her chest. And the guy said, "Yeah, it is very cool, but maybe, I mean, tone down, a little bit because maybe it could be." And we went for that half armor, the design with the half armor, which I mean I loved, and I thought Luke loved too. But the thing that I love most about the design of the character, it's the weapon, the axe sword, the kind of thing. I mean, I love it. It's
Yeah, and that
uh,
was something we went back and forth on a little bit too. And yeah, just in terms of the nudity, I think I was like, we're doing heavy metal. Like, let's go
oh
full
yeah,
heavy metal.
exactly. That was the vibe. Yeah, heavy metal. Yeah, heavy metal kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like
We got
like
we got
70,
rated.
yeah, 70 kind of fantasy. We were so hyped. "Yeah, it's perfect."
That's
And I know,
Frazetta, yeah.
yeah, it's no, but then no.
Someday. But yeah, even the axe, I think, is just originally scripted as sort of like just a big battle axe, and that was something that we worked on the design of. Like, well, what about a sword? Like, wow, that's so maybe two Berserk or two Final Fantasy, and then like something in between, and then like the sort of like wrought iron, really, gnarly. Iconic weapon. I was really excited when we kind of landed on that. Multifaceted. She can use it in a lot of ways, and does put it to use a lot.
Yes,
It,
all gory actually, but yes.
And there's a really beautiful shape language that's at work here. As someone who, really, I come from like the Zatoichi space, the Lone Wolf
yeah,
and Cub space. Like those are my really some of my comfort films. Like 2 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep, just hang out in the dark under a blanket and read subtitles while I'm
yeah.
watching these amazing.
Original Zatoichi, first Zatoichi movie, huge kind of influence on the emotionality of this journey for sure. Yeah.
It's very much the lone wanderer, but you flipped it, and I love that. And really, I mean, it came through almost immediately, especially like when you get into the laying in the field and sort of with the our humanoid protagonist comes upon this feral, right? This
Mm.
draconic sort of entity, which also has some like tiefling vibes. I
Yeah.
exist in the role
Yes, 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 exactly, exactly.
so there's a lot of the very like the tiefling sort of continents about her, and I dig that. And like it does feel very like albionic where we start, right, in this very almost eurocentric kind of
Mm.
medieval village, and she feels way more sort of eastern in her weapons and her demeanor and her whole vibe. Like, so I like the sort of the crossing over of cultures, because that seems to be the seed of sort of something grander that's happening. Again, just have the first issue in hand,
Yeah.
but it seems like there's more of a cultural conversation and us versus them kind of thing happening. And
Yes, you will.
is that intentional? Like,
I think, I mean, you can answer better than me. I'm going to give you the short answer, then Luke
Yeah.
can expand it. But yeah, what we were, I mean, what I think Luke was aiming and what I tried to picture, it was like there is a huge story behind traditions. There is a huge lore. All the pharaohs, all the dragon men have their own tribe. Use the way that they get things done. I mean, I don't want to spoiler because if you keep reading the comic book, you will discover. I mean, something very emotional. There is something. It is around issue 4 or issue 3. I don't remember,
I
but
think
there
maybe
is a
three. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but there is a passage in which you understand why she's doing something, why she's acting like that, why she got that kind of appearance. Everything is, have a reason. Please, sorry, Luke, I don't want to
No,
steal
no,
them.
yeah, of course. No, yeah, and I'll try and not say, not. I'm excited to talk about it, so I won't go too in depth. But yeah, I mean, by design, I think the idea was to be able to tell a fantasy story in the style of things like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, but all those they're so epic in their scope, and it was like, can we take that flavor? But the narrative engine is way more, Eastern style, like samurai story. When you see these samurai movies, it's not really so much about the larger world. You're focused on a very singular character story as they wander from place to place. So you've got these much more focused narratives in this world that feels really big. And so can we sort of do the Western fantasy aesthetic combined with the Eastern style of storytelling and come up with something that felt, really fresh and new. So yeah, that was kind of the idea, was to, obviously within the world itself, there's all these cultures, but just when we're looking at the types of stories and how they are told, there's sort of a desire to meld different storytelling cultures that I admire and love and have loved all my life.
I've played in the role playing space for as long as I can remember. I mean, like that was as a disabled person, I've always rolled dice because like at the table we're all equal, right? So I like
Mm.
I used wheelchair or crutches all the time, and I couldn't like run around and hit a ball or do things like that, but I could play D&D or riffs or whatever, and so I love these big expansive worlds, and it feels like the story that you guys have created, both visually and narratively, there's this massive world, but the story itself is so emotionally intimate. Like there's a panel where his hand is touching her hand, and it's
Yes.
like, I mean, that I was like, whoa, you don't see that sort of pause a lot, especially in between panels, right? There's like an artistry that you both seem to have really come together and been able to like make this really intimate, very human story with these larger than life characters in this grand space. And I think that, I mean, that's exciting for me. How long is the story going to run? How many issues do we have currently
Five.
slated?
Yeah, we've got 5 issues for this story, and obviously in success, we would love to come back to this world and do more. I think, obviously the intention is that you tell a complete story, and you want these 5 issues. When you get to issue 5, it feels like, yep, this is the end, of the journey, and it's fulfilling. But the world hopefully is rich enough to where, like, we could come back. We'd both be willing to
Yeah.
explore
I
some
mean,
more.
when you were talking about the small story in a bigger world, that is the aim. I mean, what I really always loved as a kid, as a narrator, as an artist, is big stories are cool, like the Lord of the Rings or Dragonlance or everything that is shaping the world. It is cool. It's high fantasy cool, but I always thought about what happened to people that are living in a world where giant heroes are, dealing with stuff. What happens to the small stories? And this is a small story, not in intensity, but in the impact of the world. This is why I loved so much and I got so emotionally attached to this. And this is thanks to Luke because he allowed me to get in the creative process. Like he was writing all the script, and then I was like, yeah, but can we change this panel, move it there? Maybe we can pose it a little bit. So this is something. It's not that common, when a script writer write something, a page or a subject for the movie or for the comics, it's something that he has a precise idea in mind. And I guess Luke had that precise idea, but he allowed me to to sneak in into the creative process. Like, please, I mean, let me leave my sign on that because I love the story. There are points in which we will get we got something like weekly or monthly, Zoom calls in which we're talking about every issue, and I was like, yeah, we should, we should do something like that. At some point, we asked the publisher to add 2 more pages in issue 3 because by talking, we need to explain that specific things because it's very emotionally deep. We need 2 more pages. So I mean, I really need to thank Luke. I don't think anybody would do that to let the artist sneak in into something that they already wrote.
Well, for me, it's great. This is my first time working, writing a comic, and so to feel like I had somebody to lean on a little bit to tell me, like, I don't know, this isn't gonna flow exactly right. Like, maybe we should, change the number of panels or move this to here, and feeling like, okay, that I'm protected. I'm not gonna, fall on my face or look bad. But also just coming from the world of movies where you have just so many other collaborators, sometimes in a great way, but sometimes, it's a game of telephone. You write a screenplay and then you get notes from producers, and then they get notes from the studio, and then you get notes from the director and from the actors, and then you make compromises all throughout production because we're running out of money, we're running out of time, we only have so many days. And so to compromise and to collaborate with just one other person, and their issue isn't money, their issue isn't just needing to put their fingerprints on it, their issue is they're a fellow artist and they are just as invested as, like, okay, his name's on the book too, this is our book, both our names are on it. So it's fine to collaborate and to compromise when you're compromising with another artist, and like you're working towards something that you both feel strongly about, as opposed to the compromises you get when you're trying to make movies. So it was a thrill to me to just have another person who cared as much as I did about
Oh
what we
yeah,
were actually
and
trying to
another
do.
thing, yeah, we spoke a lot. That was like try to understand the intimate motivations, both of our young hero and the woman. So it was like we were talking like a lot about she's doing that because of that, and we said yes, and Luke would say yeah, yes. So I tried to understand uh, um, in a deep way what was moving each character. I mean, I want to portray that in the best way possible. So I need to understand the background. Otherwise, I'm just gonna, draw. It's more like a mechanical act. I need to put, something else inside the art.
That richness hopefully is something that, the readers are going to really be into as well, of, that again, the stakes are high. They're not world-ending stakes. They are these intimate stakes, which in some ways, hopefully makes you connect even more and care even more, because the fate of the world is an abstract concept, but the fate of this boy's, soul, and this woman's heart, those are things we can relate to, and hopefully that texture is going to really come through and engage people.
Well, I have a litany of questions that I don't want you to answer, and what I mean by that is I am incredibly excited to see where this is going. I have not spent more than 4 or 5 hours creating stats and things of like what does this item do? What does this piece of armor do? Why is it lighting up red? Like, because she has some beautiful sort of and it could be a style choice, it could be something that happens when one I mean, there's just so much in this world that feels so lived in that I
I
absolutely
mean,
adore.
do you want a spoiler or not? I mean, we can tell you, but
I would love a spoiler. I absolutely. Do you want to give me a spoiler? That is the
I don't
question.
know. Can I look? I mean,
What are you wanting to talk about?
about the armor, the thing about the armor we talk about,
Oh, you can talk about the armor, yeah.
Okay. The armor was to cover the breast, right? At the very beginning. So I decided that it was something that we didn't design. It's more like I drew a piece of armor to just cover half of her body, wrap her up. But then I added this. I added the symbol on the armor just because yeah, there's a panel in which is completely black, so we can just see the eyes and then we were talking and said, what if it's not on the comic book. It's just something we did for the for background, for lore. It was, what if the armor had that specific symbol because he took it from somebody else, and there's a history we can probably tell in another moment, or what if the series goes very, very good, so we can keep telling that, and we have already something that we can spend, so the symbol have a background, that there is a background about the armor, there is a background about the weapon she have, there is a background why she have a necklace. There is a
Those
story behind. Yeah,
decent studs. Yeah. Oh,
there is a story
I've
behind
totally
everything.
over this book. I mean, I would love to circle back if you guys have time once the series kind of draws to a close and kind of talk about
Of
this
course.
series in full, and we can talk about what it's going to look like in a collected edition, because I mean, you have me. Like when
Right.
Frank sent this over, and James is an amazing editor, so it makes total sense. But like when Frank sent this over, I was like, "Hey, bud, check this out." I immediately, because he knows me. I mean, the team knows me well enough to know like what I'm really going to be into, and this is top tier what I'm into. So like,
Oh, great.
I would love to circle back. I think our fandom's really going to be into it. I think anybody who follows comiccon.com for its gaming content is really going to love this. I think it's perfect crossover in that space. But I mean, I think anybody who likes a story about the human experience, because it feels really like where this is going to go. There's a lot of emotional heart to it already in issue 1, and we're just in setup. So, I really think Ferocious is going to be something cool that people are really going to be into. And
Do you do you do you, do you like the flame on the background scene?
it's so good. And I like the worm's eye view where those berries are hanging, and the agricultural use of a weapon that she hands Ren. Like, how poetic is that? Because he's coming from like this servitude where he's working in this tavern and he's in this humanoid village, and everything seems very like mundane, and he seems more surf level, and like that has implications that I could see moving forward. Like, there's so much cool stuff baked in this book. It's really rad. Like, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
there will be lots to talk about. Yeah, if we get to circle back once you're at the end, because
Yes.
yeah, there's
I
so
mean,
much stuff that we can't say.
there are a lot of things I would like to tell you, like I would like to talk about, but we can't. So
Well, what we can tell you, listeners and viewers, and anybody checking this out, is you should go get this book, because it is. I'm gonna put my name on it. I think it's fantastic. So, and I don't read things I don't like. So I'm giving you the honest truth there, friends. Both of you, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. I will see what we can set up to circle back once I can get through the whole series and we can talk
I
about it.
love
'Cause
that. Yeah, for
that would be
sure.
amazing.
it
Um,
will be a pleasure. So
well,
whenever you want.
thank you so much, guys. I
No,
really do
thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.